she's already established that the batteries are okay, and it's suspected it might be some other sort of more mechanical reason that it stopped working. So what I'm going to do first of all is take the hand unit out and just try it. Of course there's mechanisms here as well in the head, so I'd like to just see what it does on its own. That's where the batteries and the motor are. She described it as it just stopped working, so let's just power it up. See? Straight onto red. Okay? Which mean to me that there's some kind of mechanical error there. So the first thing I'm going to do obviously is I'll take the dust collector off. Let's put that to one side. And yeah, there's these screws on the back here which I shall remove. These are a Torx head screw. This is unscrewed. There are some little snap connectors in the side of the housing here, and I've just used a flat bladed screwdriver just to ease them open. Right. Okay, you can see there's a lot of dust in there, so it does need a clean out. This is the bit I'm interested in, which is the motor. I think we'll give it a bit of a clean out anyway, but this whole arrangement I can hear a tiny little clunk somewhere in this area, so something is, I think it could be seized. So I'll just go and clean the dust off with a brush first of all, and then we'll have a look in more detail. Now I want to have a look at this mechanism. Just want to peel that rubber housing back. That's a normal vacuum cleaner fan in there. I'll see if I can turn it by hand. Oh, that's tight. Now that's the problem area, I suspect, is that something has... Oh gosh, that's really tight. That's seized. It's obviously seized on a bearing somewhere. I don't know whether well, I can have a look inside it. These are snap fasteners, so I should be able to get these off and investigate it further. So I'll have a look at that now. Yeah, I think I'll have to undo these two screws here to lift the control circuitry off, and then we can have a look inside there. Those appear to be the only screws securing the circuit board. Remove the two screws here. Let's get this housing off, this rubber. That's the bottom. There. Yeah. That's at the 6 o'clock position, the bottom of the fan housing. Just going to have to be content with the dust at the moment, and I'll vacuum clean it all out afterwards. Let's just see if we can get the housing off. So I've opened the housing now, and I hope you can see that there's horrible scoring on the inside of the fan housing and on the face of the fan here. Something's been moving or drawn in or has caught it, and it's actually, I think it's fused it. I think that on the front face here that looks like an old vinyl record, I think that's where the face of the fan has bonded to the plastic of the housing. Let's just see, now there's no load on it, what it does. Oh, I ain't no doubt that's working. Let's try and hold it and see if I can get... Yeah, there's a bit of vibration there. I can't feel any play in it, so, but again it might have lost some of its balance by losing some of this face. I don't know whether there's bits of stuff trapped in there. Yeah, I should go through this with an industrial vacuum and see what I can clean off. I can't feel, there's a bit of fore and aft play on the bearings, but then I don't think that's much of a problem. I don't know whether something's been drawn in here to get it to catch. But I think the best thing to do is for me to clean off the face of this a bit, because it is definitely proud. Yeah, in fact I can say, in fact I can scratch off, yeah, a lot of that impeller where it's bonded. So I think I'm going to have to clean this all up and clean the whole thing out with the vacuum cleaner and just see what it will run like then. But this is definitely what it's doing, it's welded itself to there. I find this quite interesting that the housing for the fan, it's actually unmarked this side, and definitely some contact has occurred here, and the same on the fan. Neither can I see where it is out of true. I might have to go over it with a bit of abrasive paper just to lift this off, and then just see what it feels like when I put it back together. At the moment it doesn't feel too bad when it's free. Now I've sanded down the face of the housing and the fan with a coarse grit paper. I'm going to go over it with a fine grit in a minute, but I'm just cleaning out these veins of the fan. And what's interesting, I'm using a very flexible piece of wood. I could use a piece of plastic, but all this has been stuck to the walls of the veins. So that in itself is not going to help with the payload that the fan's having to carry, nor the potential for imbalance. So I'll give this a really good clean out and hoover it. But that's a lot of dust that's there, and it's also going to affect the efficiency of the vacuum anyway, because we're reducing the ability for the air to move through the fan. What I'll do afterwards is I'll go over the face of this again with the two plastic surfaces. I have a finer grit paper here, abrasive paper, which will just polish that a bit, but I know now, I can feel now there's not a lip as there was before where the fused plastic was sitting on the face of the fan, and similarly on the face of the housing. So that's a lot cleaner now, and I'll try and polish this up a little bit with some finer paper, and then we'll see about putting it back together. Oh, look at that, can you see that coming out? Look at that, all that is just dried, caked on dust. Horrible, but no surprise, because the filters can only do so much in something like this. And after 4 years, I found that the tail end of a cable tie is much more robust, much more flexible, and look, we're getting all this caked dust out of the fan. I've smoothed this off now. I don't think I'm going to polish it. If I hold the motor now and turn it on, it's actually vibrating less, so I think all that dirt in here was really affecting the balance of the fan. What I'll do now is put the housing on. That should just clip in. Okay, that's the filters cleaned out and everything. Now let's just put it back together. There we are. It's vibrating less now. It's got the rubber housing around the motor and everything is securely pushed into place and clamped down. So that's it. One problem solved.